Namaskar and welcome to NFL Masala. I'm your co-host Anant.
And I'm your other co-host, Rakshak. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 11, the double ones of NFL Masala, where we talk about all the latest happenings in the NFL with a little bit of spice. How's everyone doing today?
So, good. Peachy. Just peachy. Looking at all of the news that has been happening from the NFL side, seeing all of the injuries, watching the preseason games, watching just excited to get football back. Just excited to get football back.
Especially college football.
Yes. Yes. UT is going to murder Colorado State next week.
Man.
And before we get started, we have a special guest because today we will be breaking down the AFC East Division. And because of that, we have a repeat famous guest of the podcast, Mr. Varun Madali. Say what's up.
Hey guys, thanks for having me again. Year 3.
Year 3. So excited for you to be here, our resident Patriots fan, evil Patriots fan. So we'll see how the Patriots do this year. We'll see if Varun has an unbiased take on the Patriots or if he's just drinking the Delulu Kool-Aid. So
or as I like to quote from the Fourth and John Eagles podcast, I want to give a shout out to Gail Saunders and Evan Hollywood Hearns for that. I was recently on their YouTube channel talking with them the entire game for third preseason game. We were just talking, and also I was with Pete Nathan of the Pete Nathan Show. So special shout out to them. And of course, to my boys, the Swoop Boys podcast. So I've been like everywhere, man.
All right. Anyways, let's continue. Starting with the Dhamakedar news. So first bit of news, a bit of positive news. Our favorite center, Creed Humphrey, not Jason Kelsey, Creed Humphrey. He has been re-signed by the Chiefs to a historic $72 million contract, and he is now the highest paid center in NFL history. This is a 4-year extension, including $50 million guaranteed. So now he becomes the highest paid center, and rightfully so, because without Jason Kelsey, Creed Humphrey is the best center in the league. And this fact that the Packers missed him in the second round and they decided to take Josh Myers later on in the third round, I will never forgive them for this, because everybody was like, okay, you have to select him. You have to select this guy. And the Chiefs did, and they're making every other team regret. He was the second round pick, the end of the second round pick in the 2021 NFL draft, and he has not missed a start through his first 3 seasons.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of the draft, I have to get down on one particular team we're going to be referring to, Anand. And I think that team has doomed us all. And I'm putting sole blame on that one team, that AFC East team. Cameron, I hope you're watching this. I swear that your team, of what you guys did, you basically screwed this season for everyone.
Not just this season, the next 5 seasons. Because you know that the player that the Chiefs drafted is going to be spectacular Hall of Fame talent. Somehow, some way, they'll make him. Because that's just what they do. So now, Creed Humphrey, he's the highest paid center. And previously, it was Detroit Lions' Frank Ragnow, who had the highest annual salary at $13.5 million, but that breaks. So that is broken by Creed Humphrey. So that's a really good deal for them. They probably have the best interior offensive line in all of football with, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and Joe Tooney. I'm like, wow. Just wow. The Chiefs, the Brett Veach building through the trenches is exactly what they did. and this is what they will continue to do to protect their $450 million investment in Patrick Mahomes. So that's it from my side. Creed Humphrey gets a new deal.
And the next bit of news, on Thursday, we had a trade, an in-division trade. Who would have thought?
Interesting.
And it was the Washington Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was, and first of all, this was first reported by our full-time correspondent, Mr. Abhishek Ramani.
Mm-hmm.
Abhishek, we're not letting you go, man. You are now full-time.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Abhishek Ramani reporting the news from Ari Meirov, Ian Rappaport, and Adam Schefter. All these three said this. The Washington Commanders traded their 2022 first-round pick wide receiver Jahan Dotson and a 2025 fifth-round pick to which team? The Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for a third-round pick and 2 seventh-round picks. Basically,
I don't get it, man.
Looking at when the Eagles, when I was following the Eagles preseason and their OTAs prior to week 1, I think the writing on the wall and our concern. I actually had a one-on-one conversation with Gail Saunders, via text message, saying that the Eagles desperately needed a wide receiver 3 because their current draft picks, Anais Smith and Johnny Wilson, they were picked later on. They're most likely going to be 4 and 5. You cannot expect Britton Covey to be a number 3. And the guys that you brought in, Paris Campbell, he's coming off an injury, and Joseph Nagata, who's been a training camp body, he absolutely stunk today. He's getting his ass cut. But I mean, you're looking for a number 3. Jahan Dotson, he's basically a number 2. He doesn't need to do that much. Yes, there are concerns that there was a bit of a dropout from him last year because he lost the competition to De'Ami Brown, Curtis Samuel, and Scary Terry McLaurin. And I believe he was top 10 or top 7 with drops. But the Eagles just need him to play a slot, which is what he's really good at, and also work with motion. You pair him next to AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and hell, you got Goddard on tight end, and don't forget Saquon Barkley. I still can't believe Saquon Barkley is on the team. And I mean, it's you have a stupid amount of weapons. It all comes down to Jalen Hurts and Kellen Moore making this offense work. And I still think he could pull it off. Jahan Dotson, he's 24 years old. He had 49 receptions for 518 yards and 4 touchdowns for the last season. And guess what? His best targets, his best games have been against the Eagles for some reason. Because but then again, most of the drops, yeah, you could give the argument that he had terrible QBs Jacoby Brissett, Taylor Heineke, Carson Wentz, and Sam Howell. But I mean, with Jalen Hurts is a bit of an upgrade, and and I mean, it's going to be interesting, and it looks like Washington is going to go forward with with Terry McLaurin, Olamide Zaccheaus, Jamison Crowder. Also adding other veterans Byron Pringle, Martavius Bryant, and Luke McCaffrey, and don't forget ex-Eagle Zach Ertz. So I think it was a great move by the Eagles to Howie Roseman doing Howie Roseman things.
Yeah. So again, the Eagles doing Eagles things. They trade for value pieces on the cheap, and they somehow make it work. So congratulations, your Eagles.
And
congratulations.
And the crazy thing, he's on a rookie deal. He doesn't, and he can wait till them, and then they don't need to activate his 5th-year contract. So AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, technically Saquon, and Dotson. Dotson, he's a Penn State guy. He's basically coming back home. You extend him you keep that core, that offensive weapons core for some time. I mean, this is just incredible work by Howie on this one.
I'm more shocked than the Commanders. How can they let go of their number 2 receiver?
Especially when you have Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, they just, especially when you have a rookie QB, you want to have the most amount of, even if Jahan Dotson is like the 70th best receiver, that's still good for a rookie receiver, for a rookie quarterback. So you need all the help that you can get for a rookie QB. And the fact that they're just willing to give up on a young player like Jahan Dotson is just dumb, because besides Scary Terry, this is their depth chart. They have Olamide Zaccheaus, wide receiver 4, Luke McCaffrey, a rookie, Diami Brown, wide receiver 3, probably, Jamison Crowder, old, Byron Pringle, old, Martavis Bryant, old, Mitchell Tinsley, Davion Davis, exactly, Bryce Tremaine, Kazmir Allen, and Marcus Rosemy Jackson. Like, they are 12 wide receivers deep, but they have, besides Scary Terry, no quality wide receiver 2. And yeah, Jahan Dotson was not going to be wide receiver 2 this year, but he's still young. He's still 24. He still has the potential. He's averaged like 12.4 yards in his entire career. So he's had 0 fumbles. Like, he had Sam Howell to work with. I don't know what else do you expect from a receiver. He's just getting into like his 3rd year now. So I don't know, man. It was surprising to see him be shipped off that quickly, especially when they have a talented young QB that they can use. So, anyways, more about the Commanders now. And this is actually positive news for some of the worst things that Daniel Snyder has done. In memoriam of Sean Taylor, the famous safety who unfortunately
ever. He was a hard hit.
Yeah. A symbol of the early the late 90s and early 2000s style of defense. They will finally build a statue in his honor 2 years after unveiling the ridiculously horrifying memorial that that Dan Snyder and his ilk had made 2 years ago, which was famously trampled on by Patrick Mahomes' younger brother Jackson Mahomes by when he was doing like a dumbass TikTok dance or whatever that was. But they finally give him a proper memorial, and it's going to be there's no set date to unveil the statue. They're going to meet with the sculptor pretty soon, and hopefully they'll be willing to release unveil the statue as soon as possible. So
they got to do it right.
Yeah, they've just announced it now. So we'll see, and we'll keep up to date on this progress. Yeah, that's it.
And last but not least, we are still stuck in the NFC East because Beaches had a major injury. And this is with those folks from Arlington, Texas. When I say those, because I'm no longer associated with the state of Texas. I'm in Albany, New York. The Dallas, and this according to Todd Archer, the Dallas Cowboys will be without all-pro cornerback Deron Bland for 6 to 8 weeks because of a fracture on his left foot. And following the timeline, he's probably going to return in mid-October, which will cost them the first 5-6 games. They'll have their bye week on October 20th. So you'll basically, they're going to definitely miss him. And he's going for So for those that are like in the health field, if you want the specifics, he'll undergo surgery for his 5th metatarsal on Monday, according to our source. And remember, this is the same Deron Bland who led the NFL with 9 interceptions and set the league record for 5 pick sixes to earn
Mhm.
Pro Bowl and All Pro. And I'm gonna try this with from with me talking to 105.3 the brand. The good news is that he'll be here for, let's say, the vital games of the year. And the Cowboys are in great shape at the cornerback because of our young guys coming.
Mhm.
That's one of the strengths of our teams is the corner position, the safety position. Our secondary is outstanding in personnel. Okay. That guy is gone. But also, but luckily they'll have Trayvon Diggs in the lineup for September 8th against the Cleveland Browns. And not only that, Jordan Lewis had a strong camp in the slot. And I think this escaped our radars. 2 weeks ago, the Cowboys actually made a trade with the Vikings, and they could look for Andrew Booth Jr. They acquired from the Viking Andrew Booth Jr. He was a second round corner from Clemson, if I
Mhm.
remember, and he only played for 2 games, and Booth Jr. comes into the same scheme under Mike Zimmer, but it's going to be very interesting. But then again, losing Bland, that's a huge blow for Mike Zimmer for sure.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, let's move on then, right? So, after that last bit of the Makeda news, let's finally move out of the NFC East and move on to the AFC East for what we are here for. Starting with the Patriots. Take it away, Varun. Take it away.
Well, I mean, I think it's a consensus the Patriots are gonna finish 4th. Like, I don't see a scenario where they where they finish first, obviously, or second, third, maybe. We got to see, but I think it's a consensus 4th winner. And I mean, if you just look at the overall talent in the AFC East, like if you look at quarterback talent, you got Josh Allen. He's a top 5 quarterback. The Bills are in strong running. The Aaron Rodgers, like, it's Aaron Rodgers, and then Tua,
Exactly. You can never count him out.
yeah, you can never count him out. And Tua with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle,
Yeah.
that coaching, he's always going to be productive. And then the Patriots, they're going with Jacoby Brissett most likely. So if you just look from like even the overall quarterback, right off the bat, the Patriots are at the biggest disadvantage. And then from there, if you go to like the skill positions, you look at receiver, the Patriots are just at a severe lack of talent compared to the rest of the division.
You know who you would like? Mr. Bo Melton, our wide receiver number 5 for the Packers.
Okay, we're not that desperate, but
hey man, he's made some plays. Last 3 games, he had 211 yards in the NFL in the regular season. Last 3 games, when the Packers offense was hot, you could definitely use him.
I wanted Dotson. I wanted Dotson, but
okay. That's fair. I mean, any depth is good depth.
Yeah, but if you also look for the Patriots thing in terms of coaching, like you move off from, honestly, throughout the last few years, Belichick, it was honestly time to move off of him, even though he's legendary.
Yeah,
he was just too tone deaf with offense in a league that was becoming even more offensive oriented. So I liked moving off Belichick. Eventually, you had to do it, and bringing in Alex Van Pelt. He's had a strong history working with quarterbacks. He was a quarterback coach. He helped resurrect Joe Flacco. I really like that hire because you're bringing in Drake May and you need someone like proven with quarterbacks, and he's just a really safe hire because it's not like, I don't think he has a lot of upside. Obviously, he's not one of those like young, like flashy offensive coordinators, but he's had a strong track record in the past, and he's a good hire to pair with Drake May. And overall, I think as a coaching staff, the Patriots have improved. They got rid of Bill O'Brien, Bill O'Brien had one of the biggest fall-offs I've ever seen as a coach. So you get a more proven guy in Alex Van Pelt. You get younger. You needed a new voice in the locker room. Gerard Mayo. He was groomed to take over for Belichick. He's a very cerebral guy. So I think he's gonna, like, even in his press conference, he was mentioning like he didn't want to be Belichick, which is obviously good because you've seen the past Bill Belichick coaching tree. Everyone tries to be Bill Belichick, they just can't be.
Yeah, it's like pardon my interruption, but it's like Bill Belichick has like it's almost like there's a scene from this the Bleacher Report show called Game of Zones. It's like you join like a specific team, like what the Spurs or the Celtics. You put your soul in the soul box and you work like a team, and it's like you're like ultra powerful, but then when you leave, you suck again. So
yeah,
it's kind of like that. I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing for the Patriots is like their receiver room. Like, I think that's the biggest thing you got to pinpoint for improvement. And they did address it. They got Jalen Polk. They got Javon Baker. You're getting Kendrick Bourne back. Bourne was actually pretty productive when he actually got opportunities. So it's not a great receiver room. I think it would be better than people expect, especially like if you look at like the Patriots like 2021 offense with Josh McDaniels. You had like Kendrick Bourne, you had Jacoby Myers. You didn't have flashy names, but they were efficient. So I think the Patriots will be efficient, but I still think they're in the next year's draft or free agency, they're going to need to get that true number one. And I'd say that's what's holding them back right now.
So how do you get that true number one then? Right? Did you guys get that this year or?
Nope.
No.
Nope. I wanted Brandon Ayuk, but
Yeah.
I think most likely you go through the draft because Patriots are probably going to have a top 5 pick. And yeah, I think that's where you address it.
Okay. So who else did you guys add this year?
So you got the main two additions that I was looking at was Jalen Polk and Javon Baker, just because they're like young receivers. But they also added I had the name one sec. They got Jacoby Brissett, obviously that's the big one.
Yeah,
you want him as a bridge.
So that's going to be like your starting QB this year.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think they're going to keep Drake May as your QB1, especially since he's so young and has you need significant leaps.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd say other than Brissett, I'd say the biggest name they brought in was KJ Osborne. It's KJ Osborne, so like it flies under the radar. But he's probably their most proven receiver at the moment. And again, like you're not bringing in like a superstar receiver, but you're bringing in guys who've been efficient, who've been like decently productive throughout their career. So I think he's probably going to be a wide receiver 1 or 2 by the end of the year.
So wait, so who are you saying is wide receiver number 2?
KJ Osborne.
Okay. So then who's going to be number 1? Kendrick Bourne?
See, that's the thing. Like all these guys are like so close to each other.
Yeah.
But if I had to give my pick, I would say I would say Bourne finishes as receiver 1. Polk or Bourne 2 or 3, like interchangeable.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Polk or Osborne. And then I think Javon Baker finishes as like the last.
As number 3?
4, yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It's just, bro, this receiver room makes me sad, man.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
There's not
I'm naming these guys, and I'm just like trying to get excited, but I just can't.
I know. Like you said, the only people that you can really get excited for are Jalen Polk and Javon Baker. I think Javon Baker, for me, I think he's going to be the best player on your team this year because he's got so much potential. and he was one of my draft darlings coming out of the NFL draft. He's big, he's strong, he's 6'1", 202 pounds, right?
Yeah.
And in his college career, he was great at maintaining possession of the catch
Yeah.
through contact. So he's
You
got
know,
a big frame, and he can use that to his potential, right?
Yeah.
He's got a great agility, and it's just like, I'm shocked that he was drafted in the 4th round, but also considering how deep of a draft class this was, I'm not really shocked, right? But the Patriots got a steal.
Yeah. Do you know Javon Baker's like NFL comp is actually Kendrick Bourne?
Oh,
Huh.
really?
Yeah,
You got
his pro comp is Kendrick Bourne.
Oh,
So you
my
got two
God.
Kendrick Bournes.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you look at the Patriots like overall, I really think you're like just pinpointing on receiver, because the Patriots, like, their defense, like under Belichick, even when the offense was horrible, their defense was like a staple. And you have Mayo who learned from Belichick. Like I don't really like have any concerns or like much to say for the defense, because I'm just assuming it's at least going to be like an above average unit. It's like the focus is the receiver, because that's what's been haunting the Patriots ever since, even like from Tom Brady's last year to now.
Okay. But he seems like a Patriot style receiver. He's not exactly the fastest, but he's sure-handed. He's he can run routes really well, and he wins downfield with really good ball tracking. That sounds like a Patriots wide receiver to me.
Yeah.
At least it's better than Corvette. That's for sure.
That's right. That's a player that you guys lost, right? Thank God.
Oh my God.
So did you guys extend anybody?
Yeah, the main one was Mike Onwenu. He was in the 2020 draft class.
Okay.
And he was one of the, like, towards the last, like, half decade. He was one of the like rare Bill Belichick hits. They plugged him in at offensive tackle, and he was elite there. They plugged him in as guard. He was elite there, and they signed him to like a 3-year, $57 million deal. So that was probably the biggest one, because he was a staple on the offensive line, like wherever he played, and you needed that for May. And
especially considering the lack of overall talent in your entire offensive line.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't go for more offensive linemen, especially in the draft.
Yeah. They had some depth pieces, but nothing like, I don't think like any specific move like, you could actually like talk about as like a starter.
And that's weird, because the new GM that you guys have now, right? He's Elliot Wolf. He's an ex, Packer. He's he's the son of Ron Wolf, who's the legendary Packers GM. So I'm surprised he didn't invest in the offensive line so much this offseason.
Yeah. Like, they have some depth pieces. Like, they had a few like depth signings, but it's not like that. That's actually something I thought they would like go after a big free agent.
Yeah.
To like pair with Onwenu as like a staple.
Like Robert Hunt. That's
Yeah.
someone who could have really helped here, because you have Cole Strange, but
oh my God.
yeah.
That's a strange pick, and nonetheless, no pun intended.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm surprised that you guys really didn't invest that much, and it seems like you didn't really invest that much in terms of extensions, in terms of the offensive line, right? So,
and then another one of the other big extensions was Josh Uche. He broke out 2 seasons ago with 11.5 sacks, and then he just didn't get much playing time last year, which is one of those like weird Belichick things towards the end, where like you have a player who's like clearly like the best you got, and he just didn't play him. Like, that's what Belichick did last year with Demario Douglas. Like, Demario Douglas was the only receiver who had some juice on the team.
Yeah,
and he benched him for fumbling.
Yeah,
so like that's what happened with Uche. He just didn't get playing time, and he re-signed, which was actually a big get, because like he was projected to leave. So he re-signed on a 1-year. He got a 1-year, $3 million deal. So I think that's a good like low risk, high upside signing because he did have 11.5 sacks just 2 years ago. So like if you can unleash him, maybe you get much better value.
Yeah. Didn't you guys also retain Christian Barmore, Kyle Duggar, and Ramondre Stevenson?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Barmore is out for he's probably gonna be out for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
he has like that's why I didn't talk about Barmore. The blood clots.
Oh no!
Remember, Rakshak? I think this was news that we relayed 3-ish weeks ago, like 2 to 3 weeks ago, like the beginning of the preseason. Unfortunately, yeah, that's sad. I think he had recently signed a 4-year, $83 million contract extension, but
yeah,
blood clots. So rest in not rest. Jesus, feel better, get better. But also I'm surprised you guys retained Ramondre Stevenson. Like, what did you see in him that warranted a 4-year, $36 million contract extension?
He was ever since he got drafted, he was really productive from the start. Like in his rookie year, he broke out towards like the second stretch and ended up averaging like over like 5 yards per carry towards the later like half of the year. Which was so actually again, so Ramondre Stevenson, he had an early fumble like in his rookie year 2021, and Bill Belichick put him in the doghouse.
Oh no!
And then towards the end of the year, he like fully unleashed Ramondre Stevenson, and then he started averaging over 5 yards per carry. He was also one of the best or not overall, but he was one of their best receiving threats because he would just consistently like get open on checkdowns, which is obviously like a great thing for Mac Jones.
Yeah.
And then in year 2, he had like his best like career like statistical year with over 1,000 yards rushing, and he averaged 5 yards per carry with a pretty mediocre offensive line.
Right. And mediocre quarterbacking play, or actually bottom 5 quarterbacking play.
Like he even had 69 receptions.
Yeah.
69 receptions, rushed for over 1,000 yards, 5 yards per carry. And then, so his first 2 years, he was very productive, very, very productive. And he was honestly probably the best player they had on offense for those 2 years. And then last year he had a big like fallback, which honestly I'm not gonna hold him that much to that. Last year the offense was just a complete disaster. There's honestly no bright spots on the entire offense last season. It was just overall like it was just so dysfunctional.
Do you think he's gonna bounce back this year?
I do. I think with like a veteran presence like Jacoby Brissett, you're bringing in Van Pelt, who's a much more like proven play caller, I think, than Bill O'Brien, because I think Bill O'Brien has been like up and down throughout his entire career.
Yeah.
So you bring in a more like proven coach. You, like I said, they had some. I think what killed the Patriots' offensive line last year, like aside from the talent, was like the lack of depth. One injury and they were finished. Yeah. So they did bring in a few offensive linemen this offseason. So I think the offensive line should take a leap. You're getting better quarterback play. You're not going to solely focus on Ramondre Stevenson anymore. So I do think he's going to bounce back.
Oh, is it because you guys brought in Antonio Gibson?
Him too, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's more of like the receiving guy. So that's what I thought. So I think Ramondre is going to have like a career or big bounce back in terms of rushing yards. And then Gibson's going to more so take on like the receiver role.
So do you see them playing a lot of like 22 personnel, like two running backs, 2 tight end sets, just to provide more protection opportunity?
I do. Okay. Because they also brought in Austin Hooper. He's bounced around, but he's overall like he's been pretty reliable for quarterbacks. Like over the last few years, he's been like he's not like around 400 yards, 300 yards. So I don't think like they're gonna play heavy 2 tight end sets, but I think they can because Hunter Henry's been like very productive for the Patriots in terms of like touchdowns and like overall his ability to get open. They just haven't been able to utilize him.
Gotcha. All right, let's switch into the defense now. What do you think about Kyle Duggar re-signing 4-year, $58 million contract?
I really wanted them to re-sign him.
Okay.
It
So
was
you
one of
got
the
your
big
wish
ones.
then. You got your wish.
It was one of the big ones, yeah.
Nice.
Because they franchise tagged him like a month before,
Mm.
and you know how the franchise tag goes, right?
Yeah.
You would expect him to resign, so he got the deal.
Mhm.
And honestly, again, he was from the 2020 class too, and he was one of the last few hits Bill Belichick had. They plugged him in the secondary, and he immediately made an impact.
Mm.
Like in just last year, he had a career high 109 tackles as a safety.
Dang.
Which, yeah, he was a really electric safety. Like he's really versatile. So
Mhm.
you could pretty much like put him at like any secondary position, and he would be able to produce. And then he also scored 3 touchdowns, which
Wait, what?
What?
Wait, 3 offensive touchdowns?
no, like pick sixes.
Oh,
Like
okay.
fumble recoveries, which he was the first. Like fun fact, he was the first Patriots defender since 1970 to do that.
Oh my goodness.
Jeez. Okay, so I can see why then. I can see why.
That's just insane.
Yeah.
That was 2 seasons ago. So yeah. So
But
overall,
still.
he's been one of their more electric like defensive players. Like he
Mm.
had a career high in tackles. He makes plays. He scores. Or obviously, like as for a defender, as much as you could.
Yeah.
He's just overall like a really electric defensive player. He's also accumulated over 9 interceptions throughout his career. So
Mhm.
he is one of the better safeties in the NFL. And with so much cap space, it wouldn't really make sense to let him go unless you were going for Jesse Bates.
Okay.
Because it
That's
was
true.
Jesse Bates as the first option on the market, and then it was Duggar. But you already have your guy. He wanted to be here. So I think I
Mm.
really like the extension.
Okay. That's good. That's good. So they are basically doing everything that you've wanted to, except for investing in offensive line and receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even for the receiver, it's not a lack of effort that's holding them back.
Right.
It's
Right.
like the desirability of the offense.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you saw what Brandon Ayuk was saying, right? It was unfortunate that he doesn't really. I mean, I can't really blame him. If you're a wide receiver, are you going to stick with? Actually, who would you? Okay, if you're a number one wide receiver, let's do this thought experiment, right? Who would you go with? Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, or Jacoby Brissett and Drake May?
I'd go Drake May, especially if you're gonna be the highest, or not highest paid, but if you're gonna like reach $30 million, I would go with the Patriots.
Yeah, and the Patriots have cap space. I think next year, they might be number one in cap space, for all 32 teams, I believe.
The Patriots also they like heavily pursued Calvin Ridley. Like they offered him the most money in
Mm.
free agency, but again, he just didn't want to sign here.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be a different story next year. When they actually get better,
Hope so.
because next year the Patriots have $96 million in cap space.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's insane. Oh, the Steelers actually have 89 million. So I guess either way he was going to earn that money, right? He was not going to earn the money with San Francisco. They are ranked 28th at negative $10 million next year.
Yeah. I mean, if you just look at like the options Brandon Ayuk had, like
Yeah.
usually players, they either go for 2 things, right? Most money or best chance to win.
Mm-hmm.
The 49ers were the best chance to win. Patriots are the most money. Like it doesn't make sense to pick the Steelers.
Yeah. No, I agree. The Patriots, I thought that he would be in a better system with the Patriots, since you guys have Alex Van Pelt, who's, an understudy of both Mike McCarthy and Kevin Stefanski. So you have both of those styles of offense as well. You got the West Coast style offense coming from Mike McCarthy, and you also have like, I guess RPO. That's like primarily RPO and like power run scheme from Kevin Stefanski,
Yeah.
which I think would actually suit the Patriots really well and help develop the quarterbacks much more effectively, right? Because if you have less for the quarterbacks to think about, then you have less chance. You have fewer chances for turnovers,
Yeah.
and that's the name of the game, right? If you have fewer chances for turnovers, you have a higher likelihood for scoring. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I think like at this point next year the Pages are gonna be more desirable because they did make like a concerted effort to get younger. Like you saw it with trading Judon.
yeah,
Like Judon still at this point, like he's still a good edge rusher.
mhm,
But if you're just looking at your team, you see like you see an edge rusher over 30. He's expensive.
mhm.
This is his last year. It just doesn't make sense to hold on to him, especially when he can leave for nothing. So just get some value back for him. Like
Gotcha.
that's the approach the Patriots have had. And they even like they cut superstar Juju Smith-Schuster, like
Mhm.
to give more playing time for Jalen
Yeah,
Polk and Javon Baker.
yeah, yeah. So okay, so we've talked about the changes, right? In terms of the players that they brought in, mostly they extended their key defensive players like Kyle Duggar, Christian Barmore. Unfortunately, we know what happened to him. Jabril Peppers is another good extension. So you have both of your safety. You have your safety tandem locked in for like
Yeah.
the next 2 to 3 years, right? So it's a good thing that they did. They also retained Ramondre Stevenson, and they brought in some young wide receivers. So talk about the coaching changes. Now, you've seen all the players that you've brought in. What type of schemes, what type of what do you think the coaches are going to do with this offense and defense, and how do you think that they're going to fare for this upcoming season?
Okay, so I'll start with the offense.
Yeah.
So again, you saw a lot of change in the offensive coaching with from Bill O'Brien to Alex Van Pelt.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at Alex Van Pelt's like previous like you mentioned, right? He just came from Kevin Stefanski.
Mm-hmm.
And Stefanski, he's one of like the run heavy, like you're not gonna like the quarterback, like you're not, I wouldn't say limit, but you're gonna manage the game. You're gonna have like a strong running game, lots of play action. You're gonna make it easy for your quarterback, right? Because that's the style of like coaching like Stefanski comes from.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm expecting a lot of that with the 2024 Patriots too. Like you brought in a lot of offensive depth pieces, and you re-signed Ramondre Stevenson. You brought in Antonio Gibson. So lots of running, like heavy run attack, play action with two tight end sets. Like you brought in Austin Hooper too, because the Patriots weren't expected to bring in a tight end this year, and they did make a surprise signing with Austin Hooper. So you're probably going to want to utilize the two tight end set, lots of heavy play actions. You're not necessarily going to be like a throw it over the top offense because you just don't have the personnel to do that right now. And if you look at when Jacoby Brissett like was with the Patriots for a short stint, or even when he was with the Browns, it was the same, right? Because he came from Kevin Stefanski's scheme. It was a lot of Nick Chubb, pound the ball, play action, like efficient offense. Like you're
Right.
not going to ask your quarterback to be a superstar, and you're not going to do that for Jacoby Brissett because we know what he is at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm expecting like a big year from Ramondre Stevenson, and Antonio Gibson in terms of receiving like short checkdowns. So overall, that's what I think. It's going to be a more efficient offense. It's not going to be like you're not going to have a receiver like at the top in terms of receiving yards. You're not going to have. It's just going to be an overall unit. You're not going to have like a superstar.
Okay, so you're just gonna have like an efficient offense. Do you think top 15?
I think if everything goes right, you can be a borderline top 15.
Gotcha. Okay.
So basically above the mid points. Got it.
Like so if everyone is healthy, the wide receivers show up, Jacoby Brissett is not a turnover machine. He's safe, he's efficient, then yeah, and if the offensive line is competent enough, then yeah, I think you would probably end up with like a slightly above mid offense. But like honestly, like you said, right? Like you have been saying, you need a number one receiver and you need Drake May to take a step and be the franchise, changing player
Yeah.
that you hope he is.
Like if you're talking about once May starts and
Mm,
you bring in like a true receiver one, like I
mhm.
think like what I said, this is gonna change completely, right? You're not gonna be like a run heavy, like play action, like play efficient. You're gonna be like we got our franchise quarterback, we got our franchise receiver, and like it's gonna be like that.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
But you obviously have to hope Drake May develops into that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then for defense, did you want to say anything or should I?
No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead. This is all
Yeah.
you, bro. This is all you.
And then for defense, the new defensive coordinator, DeMarcus Covington,
Mm.
he was with the Patriots for 8 years. He's learned under Belichick. He was a previous linebackers coach in 2019, uh, outside linebackers coach. And this is something just a Patriots fan would know. But that Patriots 2019 defense, it was
Mhm.
one of the best defenses like fans I've seen. Like they were locking everybody down. With Kyle Van Noy, Dante Hightower, it was a great unit. And then he moved to defensive line coach, and he helped develop Christian Barmore a lot
Mhm.
and Josh Uche, and he was he was highly valued even though he was just like defensive line coach, and he was also being groomed to take over as defensive coordinator because the Patriots never really had a quote unquote defensive coordinator. It was kind of like a unit with like Steve Belichick mostly being it. And the second Steve Belichick left, like you saw Covington like right away take over. Like there was no hesitation. So he was kind of being like groomed to take over eventually. And his system, he does run a 3-4 defensive system. And if you look at like the Patriots personnel in terms of like their strength is their secondary, especially when you lose Christian Barmore for the foreseeable future and you traded Judon. And then you extended Kyle Duggar, extended Jabril Peppers. You're getting Christian Gonzalez back. Also, that's one of the bright spots for this year. Christian Gonzalez is back. So
Yes, dude. I was so sad when he
Man,
got injured,
that's
man.
good
he had
to
a great
hear.
start. He had a great
Yeah.
start. So yeah, if you look at like in terms of their secondary is very robust, lots of depth, lots of productive players. And so you like defenses usually go one or two ways, right? You have to really rely on your pass rush to get pressure to make up for your secondary, or you have to rely on your secondary to like keep things like manageable and hope for your pass rush can get there. And I
Mm.
think it's going to be like that for the Patriots, where like you just lose a lot of talent in terms of pass rushing, and you have a very robust secondary. So I think you're going to see a lot of 3-4, and like more like you're not going to see too many blitz packages because the Patriots just don't usually do that.
Okay. Okay. And I was surprised that this Patriots unit, defensive unit, given the amount of offensive struggles that they had, was like the third ranked pass defense in the entire league last year.
They were great, yeah.
They were so good, even with Christian Gonzalez going out, right? They were so strong. They were the number one defense last year in terms of EPA per play given up.
And then
Number
Marcus
one.
Jones too. He
Huh?
had a Marcus Jones, the other cornerback they had. He was
Yeah.
also injured for last season. He's coming back too.
Yeah. And I shudder to think the amount of success that they're going to have with all of your players coming back in full force. Right. So that number one statistic was actually from weeks 10 to 18. So like the last 8 weeks of the season, they were the best pass defense in the entire league, best defense in the entire league in terms of preventing explosive ability. So yeah, I mean, do you think top 5 defense next year?
Yeah, in terms of the coaching they have and the personnel, I do think they can be like a top 5 to 8 unit. But what I think it's going to hold them back is the offense, actually, like putting them in unfavorable situations, like not giving them rest. So honestly, as the defense itself, I think they're going to be elite. But if the off games happen, I do think it's going to be because the offense doesn't show up.
Mm. Okay. So Okay, so final season expectations.
Okay, so I always started off right. I think
No pressure. What you say will happen. You are the oracle of the Patriots.
what I said will happen. Oh, we're winning the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay. Sure.
But okay, so if you want, like, I think realistically, like 4 or 5 wins.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Just
I
because
think
of the
I think like 4 is the floor,
Mm.
and then you're gonna. I think it really depends on how the receivers develop, because there's games, like, for example, like the Cardinals, the Colts, the Bears, the Seahawks, where like the teams, like they do have more talent than you, but it should be a game. It should be manageable to win. So if
Even the Rams, honestly.
yeah. So if you like, I think the floor is 4, and I think in like a good scenario where like Javon Baker or Jalen Polk really break out, you have like the offensive line stays healthy. I think 6. So I think 4 to 6.
Okay. Wow. That's surprising that you're that low on the Patriots. I'm honestly a little bit higher, and I'll get into this a little bit later. But so you don't see them winning against the Bears?
I'm pretty high on the Bears.
Okay. So let's see who you guys play, right? You guys play the Bengals, the
I think
Seahawks.
that's the loss.
Yeah. So you start 0-2, and then you're playing at the Jets.
The Jets are a big X wild card for this year.
That's fair. They could end up being one of the worst teams in
Okay,
the
let's
league,
go
or
with
like
the
a
split.
Super
Let's
Bowl
go with the Jets
contender.
split.
Sorry, go ahead.
Like, I think we split with the Jets.
Okay. And then the 49ers.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. And then the Dolphins and the
Yeah,
Texans.
yeah, those two are done.
Okay, so you basically end up being like 1-5 or 0-6.
Yeah.
Okay, is what you're saying.
Mhm.
Yeah, but then you have a decent slate. You have Jags, which is winnable, versus Jets. Let's say you split that. Titans is winnable. Bears is winnable. Rams is winnable. So you might end up being like 5-6 before you face the Dolphins in Miami. So let's say you're like 5-7. I think you go like 7 or 8 wins, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah, you can beat the Colts, because the reason why I say 7 or 8 wins is because I think the defense is going to help you win a couple games. They're going to keep it low and manageable enough for the offense to eke out like 20 points.
Wow, you're higher on the Patriots than me.
I know. That's the surprising part.
Or maybe
That's
maybe this
coming
season is
rich
ridiculous.
from you on a, like, what the hell is happening?
I know. That's why I'm shocked. You said 4 wins. I was like, what?
No, I think that like the worst case scenario is 4 wins.
Okay, but okay, so realistic, you're saying what, 6 wins?
Like, if you're asking me just for like a straight up prediction, I'd probably like say like 6 wins.
Okay.
6-7 wins.
Okay. All right. Okay, and who's going to be the Shandar player of the year for you? The best player of the Patriots?
That one's hard. That one's actually hard. I want to say, I mean, the easy one I would say is Christian Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm.
And then my like kind of like, like bold prediction, I think Jalen Polk.
Okay.
But I think the safe pick is Christian Gonzalez, just from what he showed in his rookie year. Like, I think he's going to be an all-pro.
Dang. Christian Gonzalez, all pro.
Eventually he will be.
Okay. All righty. Awesome. So that's going to be it from the Patriots then. Thank you for giving all of your analysis.
Yeah.
And if you want, you can stay on until we can talk through the other teams. Give us your hatred of the other teams.
Yeah,
the Bills.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to ramble too much.
Well,
no,
it's fine. We definitely enjoy like hearing your analysis, and
Exactly.
it actually gives us like a very interesting, how do I say it, an interesting like point of view from like how we view the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, the worst thing to ever happen in American history, which is the Dallas Cowboys. That's just my non-biased opinion. My unbiased opinion. And no, it's the truth.
Worst thing since the Civil War, the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh no, since Franz Ferdinand got shot at Sarajevo.
I think they're in for a rough year.
Yeah, yeah, especially with the amount of players that they've lost. Yeesh.
Oh yeah. Oh
you know,
no,
like
you know
Dak
who's gonna
Prescott's
rescue them? Anand Eric Kendricks.
Mm-hmm.
He's such an MVP.
Like Dak Prescott's record, like when throwing for more than 40 times, is 8-16. And you have Ezekiel Elliott in 2024 as your lead back. So I think you're gonna have to throw a lot, and we'll see how that goes.
Oh, you gotta love Brian Schottenheimer's offense, man. That's how it's gonna look. All right.
Alrighty, let's move on. Speaking of the enemy of the Patriots, the Jets, or
Gross.
one of the enemies.
I am not going to do the Jets chants for anyone. It's just, you know that one meme of this guy goes like, ew, like, ew. That's just that. So, how do we summarize the 2023 Jets? Well, it started off with hope about Aaron Rodgers to lead the way. 4 plays into this game against the Bills, I think everyone know what happened. Leonard Floyd comes out of nowhere, sacks him. Aaron Rodgers, that dream of A-Rod leading the Jets for a deep playoff run. That dream turns out to be a nightmare. A la song from Meek Mill, Dreams and Nightmares. And with that, you had, they complete the season to finish off 7-10. But then again, you had to go through the QB carousel of Trevor Siemian, some other guy, or we call it a jag, just a guy, and Zach Wilson. Good Lord. And there were only 2 good parts about this entire team. The defense, led by head coach Robert Saleh. I thought it was one of the best defenses. And if you want, and just to give some context about it, the Jets were number 3 in defensive DVOA, with their offense being dead last. They're third.
Oh my God.
And what's even more shocking, it was so bad. Hell, the lone offensive star was Garrett Wilson, who had 1,000-yard receiving season. And he finished off with 12 more receptions than in 2022. I'm like, what is this?
I think the Jets, like, they've been built on defense, right, for these past like few years. I think that defense is going to take a pretty big step back. Like, you lost Bryce Huff, you bring in Hassan Reddick, and he's not gonna. Wants out.
No, we'll get to that part later because I'm about to laugh on those Jets for this. Like, but I think this is like. But no, and you know what? The crazy thing about Garrett Wilson, his best performance was against the Houston Texans in that shootout for 9 receptions for 108 yards. He made them he made that Jets team he burnt that secondary. But with that being said, we got to get it. Vern, you gotta help me out.
That's on Reddick, yeah.
But yes, with the free agency, so let's check out the moves that they did. They were able to get a couple of 1-year, 2-year deals, especially with Tyrod Taylor as a backup QB. They did get John Simpson from Baltimore as a guard to help with that offensive line, and then some other old weapons like Mike Williams. Wide receiver Javon Kinlaw from the Niners helps with that defensive tackle depth and rotation. And then they get Tyron Smith from the Cowboys, left tackle, right tackle. But there's an issue with this because we all know that Tyron Smith doesn't play a full season.
Yeah.
And
Mike Williams.
And I mean, they were able to re-sign Thomas Morstead, Solomon Thomas, and Ashton Davis to a couple of 1 year, 2 year deals. Then some interesting moves I saw: Lecky Fotu, defensive tackle from the Cardinals; Isaiah Oliver, cornerback from the Niners; Tariq Cohen, who just retired after a couple of off-season practices and trying to make his NFL comeback, but didn't make it. But they were able to re-sign Jake Hansen. And some good extensions that I saw, they were able to extend their linebackers CJ Mosley, 2 years, $17.25 million. They extended their kicker Greg Zuerlein, so they have him for another 2 years. And Kenny Yaube, 1 year tight end. But then we got to talk about the players that they left out. They lost a pretty good play, a young outside linebacker, defensive end in Bryce Huff to the Eagles for 3 year, $51 million. Jordan Whitehead, safety, he goes to the Bucks. Quentin Jefferson, their defensive tackle, to the Browns. And then of course two other guys to the Eagles, but one who recently got cut. So Mekhi Becton, their right tackle, who's now playing guard for the Eagles, he apparently is based on what I've seen on the practice reports and on preseason, Mekhi Becton is going to be taking over that right guard spot. He beats the second pick Tyler Steen from the Eagles to take over. I mean, and then of course they lose Justin Hardy, CJ Uzoma. He just got cut by the Eagles, so he's available. Laken Tomlinson, guard, goes to Seahawks. Bryce Hall, corner, goes to the Bucks. Carl Lawson, defensive end, goes to the Cowboys. And Bradley Ane, defensive end, he goes to the Jets. So, and then there were a couple of trades that happened. So, the first one was they were able to get Morgan Moses from the Ravens in exchange for some draft picks. And then with the Eagles, which I thought that was like one of the worst moves ever for the Eagles. They traded Hassan Reddick to the Jets for a 2026 third round pick, which is conditional. But now there are rumors that they have not given Reddick a contract to sign, and he has been sitting out. Varun, can you help me out with this mess? Like, did the Jets not understand this? Before you sign a player fully, you better make sure that you have a contract ready.
I don't know why they. If I was the Jets, I would have just kept Bryce Huff. He's younger. He's already with the team. Like, I don't understand, especially when Reddick had contract issues. I don't understand why you use resources to bring him in when you don't have anything planned. And I think that kind of caught them by surprise. Because Robert Saleh, he in his press conferences, he was clearly pretty surprised. And they're kind of just ignoring him for now, which I don't really understand. Because he was, if you look at their edge rushing spot, they pretty much were banking on Reddick replacing Bryce Huff.
Right.
They pretty much did a swap. So now you're at a big loss in talent if you lose Bryce Huff and you're essentially getting nothing.
And just to go back at it, are you sure? They basically go in a 4-3 type of defense, right? Because are you really, really confident that you're going to go with Jermaine Johnson and Michael Clements to start off if Reddick doesn't play?
That's two unproven players right there. Yeah.
Or Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald. And then you're somehow going to assume that Jermaine Sherwood, CJ Mosley, and Quincy Williams are going to help out in your linebacking core. I mean, that's just a tall order. I mean, not having Reddick on that field, because if you look at what the Eagles, he had back-to-back double-digit sacks. And remember, he was part of that 70-sack Eagles defense that went to the Super Bowl.
Go ahead.
No.
If Reddick plays, he's one of the best. He's one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. Period. It was a good trade bringing him in. But the Jets just mismanaged the contract aspect.
And yes, and of course, like they're not going to cut him. Like if they don't give the contract, I think Reddick sits out for the entire season. If he does, and yes, he's gonna. I mean, he's already lost up to like 1.5 or 1.6 million dollars for sitting out, but he wants to be paid. I think he may pull off a Le'Veon Bell kind of situation, and it looks bad on both sides. Like Reddick, yeah, he's not being part of the team, but the Jets were absolutely part of my franchise one, fucking up this situation by not giving him a contract to begin with in the first place. You agree with me? You're agreeing with me on this one, right?
I do.
Yeah,
especially because you mentioned it. Like they brought in McDonald, they drafted Jermaine Johnson. They've been trying to patch up that edge rusher spot for a while. And this was supposed to be kind of like be that final solution, bringing in Hassan Reddick, like a proven commodity, and you can't even get him.
It makes no sense. And yeah, I mean, moving on from there, like what I also saw from like coaching changes, apparently there were no changes in the coordinating positions. Like
they want Nat Hackett.
Yeah, Hackett's still there. And but what I did see is that they let go of running back coach Taylor Embry, and they brought back a new one in Tony Deuce. So I mean, I guess that's okay. I mean, looking back at Tony Deuce, he was part of he was part of the Titans. He was part when he was with he was their running backs coach from 2018 to 2022 and worked in tight ends. So I mean, like he was part. I think like under Deuce, like Derrick Henry had like finished the 2019 season with like leading the NFL in rushing yards, 1,540, and tying for the most rushing touchdowns at 16. So, I mean, that could see some improvement in the run game. And speaking of that roster, I mean, Breece Hall and Braylon Allen may go off in another level, but then again, you have to look at the people that they drafted. So let's get that started. Well, the first pick. In the first round, they were able to get Alufashanu from Penn State.
I like that.
Big boy, big offensive tackle, I believe from from Alufashanu. I believe he is from Penn State. So do you remember Olufashanu's profile? Like I know he's like 6'6", he's a 6'6" guy, big boy.
Well, I think they're going to plug him in as right tackle, I believe, because you brought in Tyron Smith.
Yeah, so I think most likely for left tackle to like just help him out. Because, go ahead.
So, again, like what made him stand out that much was his size, because he's at a 6'6" stature. Yeah. Honestly, it's kind of like a plug and play. Like he has a high floor. So you kind of, especially with the Aaron Rodgers coming back, you kind of hope like you can just plug him in. Like you have your staple there with Tyron Smith too, and
right.
That's actually been reported that they really like pairing him with Tyron Smith because Tyron Smith obviously is one of the best to ever do it. So you kind of get not like a left tackle mentor for him.
Yeah.
So I think he's gonna be a starter right away, but he has a high floor, but he's not a high ceiling guy.
Yeah, I mean that we'll have to wait and see on that. And then they traded back a couple of times. Third round pick, they get Malachi Corley, wide receiver from Western Kentucky. I didn't get to take a look at Malachi Corley. I know he's like undersized, like 5'11", 215 pounds. I mean, if he wanted to look up stats from what he did in college with the Hilltoppers, Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, I think in his 2022 season, he had a 1,000-yard receiving season, and in 2023 nearly had that, but he had 11 touchdowns. I mean, yeah, in 2023 season, he had like 958 yards of receiving with 75 receptions, averaging 12.8 yards per catch and 11 touchdowns. So, I mean, I haven't looked much more into Malachi Corley, but another weapon to go behind. But mainly like to go behind Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson, and Xavier Gibson, and then then the fourth round they go and get Braylon Allen, running back from Wisconsin. I thought that was pretty good. A good size, good pickup to play second behind Brees Hall. And the fifth round, after a couple of trades, especially that one trade with the Eagles in the draft, they're able to get Jordan Travis, one of the former Heisman hopefuls before he was injured in his final year at Florida State. Number 5, Isaiah Davis, running back from South Dakota State. So filling up the running back room with a lot more rookies. And then I thought this was a big surprise. They get cornerback Quantez Stiggers from the Toronto Agronauts. They drafted a Canadian football player. So and he's scheduled to be yeah, I mean he's 6'1", 197. I think that was one of those interesting points. And last but not least, in the 7th round, they got Jalen Key, safety from Alabama. So he gets to be behind Chuck Clark or Tony Adams, Isaiah Oliver, and Ashton Davis. So, I mean, I wouldn't say, I think they may have addressed all the issues, but then again, if I had season expectations, this team could definitely battle with the Bills for double-digit wins and possibly a playoff spot. I think it's gonna be between one game, but it's gonna decide on one game between the Bills and the Jets on who wins the AFC East. It could go either way, but so I mean, technically, when I did this out, I have it between 12-5 and 13-4. One game is going to decide it.
Oh, so you're high on the Jets.
Yeah, and it all depends on Aaron Rodgers staying healthy. If Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy, and also they're able, and that defense is on point, I think the Jets will definitely win. Definitely clinch the AFC East. They can win a wild card spot. Divisional round, I'm not 100% sure if they can go up against the likes of the Chiefs or even the Ravens, but you'll have to see.
So I actually have the Jets at around like 9 wins.
9 wins? Yeah, I mean, like they could go up to that point, but it's up to. But then again, it's like all up to Aaron Rodgers staying healthy and Nathaniel Hackett not fooling around, and the defense like being on point. If they're able to get Hassan Reddick back, I think they can go more than 9 wins for sure.
Like aside from Aaron Rodgers, I think like Mike Williams, Tyron Smith, those are the 2 big ones. Because if Garrett Wilson's obviously a superstar receiver, because how he's been producing with mediocre quarterback play, but they don't really have a wide receiver, like an established wide receiver too.
Yeah.
And if and a lot of the names you mentioned on the receiver core, they're young guys, and Rodgers like historically doesn't like really work well with young receivers. So I think Mike Williams' health is a big X factor. And the reason I don't have the Jets like as high as 13 like wins as you is because I just don't trust their coaching staff, and I don't think a team, like regardless of how talented they are, I just don't think they're gonna be a 13-win team if you have mediocre coaches. And Nat Hackett, I don't think I need to speak about Nat Hackett.
Yeah.
And Robert Sala's relatively unproven. So I just unless I'm completely wrong about their coaching staff, I just don't think a team can be a 13-win team with how weak they are at coaching.
Yeah. No, I do see that. So so again, like For now, like I'm just thinking like 12-5, 13-4, but it can happen as long as and I mean there is that possibility as long as Aaron Rodgers is healthy. The coaching doesn't act a fool, and defense is on point. These three main things. And with that, my Shandar player of the year, it has to be Aaron Rodgers. He is that guy, because if he's still not healthy, and I mean if he somehow gets hurt again, I want to ask you these guys. I want to ask you both of you. You honestly think Tyrod Taylor is going to take this team to the playoffs?
No.
No.
Wait, I got a backup question. Do you honestly think Andrew Peasley is going to take him to the playoffs?
No. Definitely.
Or
not.
even better, Jordan Travis, who's currently out. You think he can take them to the playoffs?
Hell no.
No. It's like, hell no. To no. Hell no. To the no. To the no. Yeah.
Yes.
No, and I think, Shandar player has to be Aaron Rodgers. He is that guy. If he can't play for like 2 or 3 games, this season could disappear. And I have the Jets going 12-5 or 13-4 at best.
Okay. 12-5, 13-4 at best.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Varun, do you think I actually have a hot take?
Oh,
Yeah.
Coming at the end of the episode. So
boy.
you wait for that.
You gotta.
No, I mean, yeah,
moment.
you're higher on the Jets than me. I think they're like 9. I think they're like a 9-8 team.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't think a team with Robert Saleh as the head coach, Nat Hackett as the offensive coordinator, and like as injury prone as they are, and on top of that, they're the New York Jets. I just don't trust them to win 12, 13 games.
That's fair.
Dude, did you hear? On top of that, they're the New York Jets.
Yeah. The Jets curse is real.
Oh man, Joe Namath is gonna say like, "Damn it, there goes another year of not seeing them go to the Super Bowl." How much more,
Jeez, man? Alrighty, let's move on to the Dolphins. I would say the most controversial team. Oh, actually, no, not the most. That would be the Jets. Second most controversial team of this division. Second most. Because last year, they were the definition of a flame that burnt out too quickly. They were the definition of an offense that burned so bright but faded so quickly towards the end of the season. Okay, they were
the Olympic flame.
Yeah,
it glowed beautifully, and then it just got snuffed out at the end.
Yes. Or India's hopes in the ODI World Cup.
Oh my God! Yeah, seriously, you had to bring that up. No, they were like the Dallas Cowboys. All that hope and pizzazz.
Yeah, just to be burnt quickly. Yeah. So, I mean, if you look at after that 70-point game that they had versus the Denver Broncos, where they scored 10 offensive touchdowns, they were on pace to be like the most explosive offense ever, right? More than your 07 Patriots, the 2013 Broncos, and the greatest show on turf.
Whoa!
They would have been, because they were on pace to be like the best rushing team and the best passing offense ever. That's how many points they were scoring. But, dude, then came December. The drop-off from the play of both Tua and the overall offense was insane. In December, the last 4 weeks of the season, they were mid in EPA per play. Middle, 15th in the entire league in EPA per play. Overall, 16th in EPA per drop back and 10th in EPA per rush. The Bears with Justin Fields had a more explosive offense in December.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm not kidding you.
Oh my
The
god.
Bears with Justin Fields had a more explosive passing offense.
Oh my god, Justin effing Fields.
Tua was so bad. He was worse than Nick Mullins.
Dude, you're killing me, man. I hope you're not joking.
I am not joking.
Oh my
Look, let me show you the stats so the video audience can see. All right. I need to
dying.
show this to you guys. Okay. So let's take a look at the first 4 weeks of the season. The offense in terms of EPA per play. And so yeah, you can see here both San Francisco and Miami are basically tied in overall EPA per play. Then you look at dropback EPA. Miami's the second best, barely, right? And then you look at rushing EPA per play. Miami's the best, right? So they had the second best passing offense, the best rushing offense, and the best overall offense tied with the Niners.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the last 4 weeks.
Oh, I gotta see this.
Okay. Last 4 weeks. Where are they? Here.
They're mid.
15th.
Below the Eagles.
With
What?
Aiden O'Connell. The Raiders with Aiden O'Connell had a more explosive passing, more explosive offense.
Oh
You
my
want to look
God.
at passing offense? See how disastrous it was? 16th. Look at that. Justin Fields and the Bears tied.
Oh my God.
The Falcons without a quarterback, greater. The Colts with Gardner Minshew. Jake Browning and the Bengals. Derek Carr and the Saints had a better passing offense. Derek freaking Carr and the Saints had a better passing offense than the Dolphins.
Then Tua turned the ball over. Wow.
And you want to look at specifically Tua?
Rogue, what?
It
It says error because we all know how bad it's going to be.
doesn't even want to show how bad it was.
It's like, please
doesn't
kill
even
me now.
Right?
Yeah.
16th. Fucking Tyrod Taylor was more efficient.
What? Even Jalen Hurts, who had a bad year, was higher than Tua.
Look at that. Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins.
Okay, how is Patrick Mahomes at 18?
They were not good last.
They didn't have wide receivers.
They turned it on in the playoffs, dude.
Oh yeah, but yeah.
That's what,
If you remember, they turned it on.
Yeah. You're right. It's just weird seeing Patrick Mahomes at 18.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
weird seeing Jalen Hurts at number 14 with all the shit that he did in that collapse.
Oh, Bailey's Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, last year.
Oh,
yeah,
my
we had a discussion of the Jaguars last year.
Oh my God.
But yeah,
Trevor Lawrence
dude,
is
Matt Stafford was phenomenal at the end of the year. How is Derek Carr
the most mid QB, as you said.
exactly? Look at the difference. Even an EPA per play, success rate, dropback EPA per play, dropback success
winning teams.
Huh?
Tua, that's just what Tua is. He folds against winning teams.
Yeah. And that's when they even in completion percentage, dude. Look at this.
No wonder Vic Fangio left that team. He couldn't take that shit anymore.
Yeah, it's just surprising the depth, like the. Oh my God, man! Yeah. I was so shocked when I saw that. I was like, how can a quarterback have such a bad drop off where you end up being, the 16th best quarterback in the entire league in the last 4 weeks? That's what happens to them. And then it came at it all came to a head in January when they had to face that brutal wind chill, right? In Kansas City, they lost 26-7 because they could not, throw more than 200 yards. I don't know how they attained 200 yards, but like the air yards metric was probably at like 2 because they were not throwing it down the field. They couldn't. And the worst part is, I don't think they changed, because if you look at who they brought in aging veterans, Kendall Fuller, Shaq Barrett, who retired, by the way, Jack Driscoll, Marcus May, 30 years old, OBJ for some reason.
I have a beat the dome moment. I don't think OBJ plays for a full season.
I have an even bigger beat the dome moment. I don't think he plays.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's note this down, folks.
You know what? I'll make a jersey bet on none.
Okay.
If OBJ is able to hit 900 receiving yards, 900.
Okay.
I will write an essay. I will prepare it at the end of the season and say how wrong I was about OBJ, why he's the greatest wide receiver over AJ Brown, why he's the best wide receiver. He's
a better wide receiver than AJ Brown, dude.
Huh?
He is a better wide receiver than
No, not just that. He's the best wide receiver in the entire world, better than Jerry Rice and Randy Moss.
Okay. There we go. Yeah.
And I will change my profile picture to OBJ.
Oh my God.
In a Giants uniform if he hits 900 receiving yards. I'm a sucker for punishment.
Yeah, this is NFL Masala at the finest. We've got some we've got some explosive beat the doles and jersey bets as usual. But yeah, so right. So they brought in aging veterans, OBJ, Calais Campbell, who still produces, but on a 1-year deal. He's 38 years old, by the way. 38-year-old Calais Campbell to be their starting edge.
I genuinely forgot he was in the league.
Yeah.
I genuinely forgot.
Oh my God. If you look at the existing depth chart now,
this is
Calais Campbell. So they run a base 3-4.
Yeah.
Right. So you got Calais Campbell as your right side defensive end, Zach Sealer as your left side defensive end, and Benito Jones, nose tackle.
Benito Jones or Benito Jones?
Benito Jones from Detroit, who's 27 years old, on a 1 year, $1.8 million deal. So you just look at all the players that they brought in. It's either aging veterans or the one good signing that they did make was Jordan Brooks. I think he was a standout, Mike linebacker for the Seahawks last year.
And from Texas Tech, baby, wreck 'em.
There you go. So that was one good signing. The rest was either replacement for players that they lost or just mid. They brought in Jordan Poyer, who's 33 years old. They brought in Neville Gallimore from them Dallas Cowboys. Jonathan Harris, depth D tackle from the Broncos. Jonnu Smith, for some reason.
He's still playing?
He's still playing. 29-year-old tight. He's their starting tight end.
Arthur Smith is somewhere crying right now.
No, he's silently crying in Steelers country. Oh God, Anand, continue.
No. So in terms of re-signings, they only had enough money to re-sign aging veterans. Isaiah Wynn, right? From
oh no.
Yeah. Braxton Berrios, Salvan Ahmed, Deshaun Hand, who's 29 years old now. Emmanuel Ogba, 31 years old. Yeah. So the reason why they were not able to re-sign good depth players or sign any good depth players and they had to go for the veterans is because they paid so much money for these three players. Tyreek Hill.
Makes sense.
3-year, $90 million deal.
Yep.
Tua, 4 years, $212 million deal.
No sense.
Jalen Waddle, 3 years, $85 million deal.
Can I say something really quickly? The Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill extensions, they make sense. Tua, I don't know what the hell they're
not.
What the hell they're drinking or smoking in Miami, but they gotta stop.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no sense to extend Tua, who has not performed well. He's been mid.
Mm-hmm.
He's a product of Mike McDaniel in that offense.
Yeah. If you need a quarterback who can throw, dude, Brock Purdy would have been fantastic in this offense, right?
Yeah.
Nick Mullins would have been good in this offense.
Yeah.
And he was better in Kevin O'Connell's offense.
I mean, yeah, the Dolphins are just the 49ers of the AFC. You have like a Kyle Shanahan disciple. You got the loaded the quarterback-friendly offenses. They're run very similar.
Mm.
Yeah. No, I agree. They got how they differentiate from 49ers is speed, right? They've got basically the fastest team in the entire league on average. Dude.
So they have like the Legion of Zoom, but it don't do shit because they end up in a roadblock.
And the reason why they're not going to be, spoiler alert, they're not going to be that successful this year. This is who they lost. Christian Wilkins, top 3 defensive tackle in the entire league. Robert Hunt, like a top 20 guard in the entire league, or a decent guard, at least. Much more competent than what they've replaced him with in Aaron Brewer. They lost Brandon Jones, safety, who was very popular in Vic Fangio defense. Andrew Van Ginkel, who was a surprise player for them in terms of pressure rate and sack percentage. He was phenomenal for them. They had to let him go to Minnesota. Raekwon Davis, another depth defensive tackle. Jerome Baker, they replaced him with Jordan Brooks. So it was basically a swap deal from Seattle, right? They let Jerome Baker go to Seattle. They picked up Jordan Brooks. Deshaun Elliott, Connor Williams, who I think is going to be a significant loss for them. He goes to Seattle. And obviously the biggest loss is Chase Claypool, greatest wide receiver of all time.
Mapletron.
What a legend.
Go ahead, Varun.
No, this ain't Mapletron.
Oh, yeah, Mapletron.
Mapletron
goes to Buffalo.
And and speaking of Claypool, I just pulled up the roster, the depth chart for the Bills. Mm-hmm. He's not even in the roster.
Yeah, I think he was let go.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Hey, you guess what? You know who I think is calling them? The Toronto Argonauts or the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Bro, restarted at CFL, baby. They need
some. Juju are going to be the best duo in the history.
Yes, Corvette, and it's all for the TikTok memes, man.
Yes. All right. So these are all the players that they left. So this is why I don't think they did enough in the offseason. Yeah, they've replaced players on paper, but in terms of the roles that these players played for the Dolphins and the amount of impact that they had on their roster is significant. They didn't really replace it with enough talent, unfortunately. And then for me, so the coaching changes that they made, second to last, they did bring in Anthony Weaver, as a defensive coordinator to replace Vic Fangio. I think he's from the Ravens. And so the Packers got their outside linebacker coach, Anthony Campanelli. We sent them Joe Barry.
Thank you for Vic Fangio, Miami.
I think, Varun, you're going to be excited about Joe Barry being the linebackers coach for the Dolphins.
Yep.
You're going to see a lot of Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb being the CB1 for the Dolphins, covering Javon Baker.
Oh my goodness.
They lost Xavier Howard too, right?
Yeah, they lost Xavier Howard. Yes, yeah, they did. They have, oh geez,
What?
they have basically no. Okay, they have an aging and injured Jalen Ramsey, aging Kendall Fuller. The absolutely nobody else in their secondary. Cater Kohu, Nick Needham, Ethan Bonner, Storm Duck, Cam Smith. Jeez. Man, this secondary is 2 injuries away from being the worst secondary in the entire league. Javon Holland is like their only capable player.
Yeah. Good Lord.
And he's questionable as well. He's questionable. Jalen Ramsey's questionable. Cam Smith is questionable. Jordan Poyer is questionable.
Oh, they got Poyer. I forgot.
Yeah, but he's
still old.
33 years old.
He's old,
yeah,
dude.
he's past his prime.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? And even in the draft, I don't think they did enough. They got Chop Robinson, who they really needed to shore up that edge position, because guess who's out? Bradley Chubb.
Oh my God.
Jalen Phillips is also recovering from his gruesome injury as well, his Achilles injury. So if you look at their depth pass rush, they have Emmanuel Ogbah, Quentin Bell, Chop Robinson. That's it. That's their starting pass rush, along with Calais Campbell. So then they brought in Patrick Paul, who is a very athletic tackle, as usual, from Houston in the second round. They also brought in Jalen Wright. So this is basically Devon A-Chain part 2. So they have 2 Devon A-Chains. This is the whole thing with the Dolphins. Offensively speaking, they just get the fastest people. Now, a couple of players that I did like them getting, especially in the later rounds, Muhammad Kamara, 5th round edge. I think he's going to play an integral role for them in their pass rush rotation. Malik Washington from Virginia, who I was really high on, a really good possession receiver, coming in the 6th round. Patrick McMorris, safety, and Taj Washington from USC in the 7th round. So again, players who I think are going to have an impact starting would be Chop Robinson, Jalen Wright, Muhammad Kamara. Right. So besides that, their depth, they only had 7 picks this year. And it seems, I felt like they needed 13 just to bring in some good depth. And this was the draft class for them to really get in depth in the secondary, in the offensive line, linebacking, defensive line. They didn't need another running back. They had Devon A-Chain. They have Raheem Mostert. What they needed was a safety. They needed a corner. And there were still some really good corners available in the 4th round. So I'm surprised they didn't do much. And because of that fact, I think the defense is going to be fine under Anthony Weaver. Probably a mid defense, top 15 in rush, and top 15 overall. Maybe if everything goes well, if they don't really have massive injuries. If they have injuries all across the line, all across the front 7 and the back 5, they're going to lose significant amounts of defensive capital that they have. They're going to be bottom 10. I just don't think they have the depth necessary to sustain, injuries in their entire defense. All they did was just add speed and athleticism, but not toughness. And that was the biggest drawback with the Dolphins in December and January. They are not a tough team. They're a flashy, athletic team who can beat teams in September and October because they're so fast. But when it comes down to the crunch time, when you have to leave Miami and you have to go somewhere else, you need players who are tough. And the problem is they don't have tough players. They also, Tua is the biggest problem. Okay. Last year, he had to put on weight, and he still wasn't that effective at throwing the deep ball with zip. This year, he lost weight to be faster. But the thing is, they don't need faster players. They need players who are, especially in the trenches, they need players who are tough in the trenches. They need players who can move. They need players who can, who aren't going to, flash the other defense with their blazing agility and speed. You saw what the Chiefs did to them in the at the end of the season last year. They pressured Tua and they played like too high. That's all you need to do. And this offensive line for Miami, it's not that great. Teron Armstead is good, but he's old and he's injured. Then you have Isaiah Wynn, who is out. Okay, he's on the pup list. Aaron Brewer, who is a replacement for Connor Williams, he's decent. He's like he's a good, competent center. Liam Eichenberg, he was okay as a guard, and then Austin Jackson, he was okay as a tackle as well. So they really, if they are like 1 to 2 injuries away on their offensive line from not being successful at all, not even having like a top 10 offense. So I'm really surprised that they didn't invest that much in the offensive line, given that this was such a high offensive line draft. Like, I'm surprised they didn't go for an offensive lineman in the first round. You could have gotten Chop Robinson in the second round or another pass rusher in the second round. Like, they didn't have to stick with Patrick Paul. They should have invested more in the secondary. They only drafted one player in the secondary, and that was in the 6th round. At the end of the 6th round, there were so many capable safeties that they could have paired with opposite of Javon Holland. There were so many good young corners like Jarian Jones or Elijah Campbell, who they could have gotten in the 3rd and 4th rounds. And they didn't have a 3rd round pick, but they could have traded up and done something, or traded down from their 2nd round pick and picked up some more players. But I'm surprised that they didn't invest more in the secondary this year. Nor did they invest in they did invest in the pass rush a little bit. They did get Chop Robinson and Muhammad Kamara, but not investing in the secondary, not really investing in the offensive line, losing a lot of key veteran players in from their defensive side. I just don't think that they're going to be that effective this year, and that's why they're going to go 10-7, and they're going to miss the playoffs because the AFC is so competitive this year. I could see them losing to the Steelers with Russell Wilson or
Oh,
Justin Fields as their
baby.
QB.
Oh, baby.
So for me, the Shandar Player of the Year, I'm going to stick with Tyreek because they have to feed him. Besides Jalen Waddle, they really don't have anybody who's that consistent. So they're going to have to feed Tyreek Hill. And especially in the beginning of the year, he's going to get a lot of targets and he's going to get a lot of access as well. And then maybe he's going to finish as the Offensive Player of the Year. Maybe. But yeah, I don't really like the outlook of the Dolphins for this year.
Well, when you said like the Dolphins losing against the Steelers, I believe I have a special guest ready to talk about that really quickly. What's up, guys? This is Russell Wilson from Steelers Country. I know it's been a while because of what Anant like trying to rush away from me, but you know what? It's time. It's time you guys let me cook. You know what? Because it's gonna be an unlimited season for me. Steelers Country. Let's weld.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anywho, thank you for that, Mr. Russell Wilson. But speaking of which, last but not least, the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
Okay, the way I'm going to summarize this thing. Let's make a checklist, okay? Having a winning season.
Yep.
Clinching the AFC East.
Yeah, I think they do that.
No. I mean, I'm talking about the 2023 season. So I'm like, the winning season. Check.
Oh, I think.
Clinching the AFC East. Check. Win a wild card game. Check. I think in between they fired their offensive coordinator Chen the offensive coordinator. Huh?
Ken Dorsey.
Yeah. After and in the divisional round, losing to the Chiefs again. Check. When does this misery end for the Bills?
Never.
Never. Yeah, the Bills. We'll get to those guys later because we have to talk about them. They did finish with the top 3 in the 3rd overall DVOA, 3rd in offensive, 12th on defense. I thought, like, if I wanted to talk about, like, Josh Allen finally showing out, like, when they replaced offensive coordinators. I feel after replacing Ken Dorsey with I don't know who it was, but they were able to, but I know, like, 1 second. I mean, replacing with Joe Brady. I thought that was, like, the best move the Bills could have done. And it's actually worked out. They made a deep run and it was good. So with that, and just to even talk about how good that Bills offense was, like, in the late. This is straight from Buffalo Rumblings, SB Nation's home for the Bills. The opponents over the course of the season, the opponents had a total of 313 first downs. The Bills outpaced that competition with 381. And not only that, like, in score, I mean, I could talk. That was, like, one of the big stats I found about. But with that, enough about it. You know what happened at the end. Josh Allen couldn't do much against the Chiefs, and after some missed field goals and a blocked field goal, had one job and they didn't do it. And they still and with the Bills, they made a bunch of one-year deals. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'll only highlight very few. Are you ready, Anand? Are you ready?
Mhm.
Yep.
Some of the big signings, I'm not going to go through all of them because it's just too damn much. Lyle Collins, right tackle. Kareem Jackson, safety. Mike Edwards and Marquise Valdez-Scantling, safety and wide receiver, respectively. Austin Johnson, Will Clapp, Nicholas Morrow, the great Mitch Trubisky, Dean Delaney, Curtis Samuel, Casey Toole, Terrell Burgess. I think the Curtis Samuel was a 3-year deal from the Commanders. And some extensions. They extended Teron Johnson to a 3-year, $30 million deal. Deion Dawkins, left tackle, 3-year deal. Taylor Rapp, 3-year deal, safety, and Dave Edwards, guard, 2-year deal. So they do have some continuity on that offensive line. But the players that were out, again, I'm only going to go through the major ones because most of them was like Gabe Davis going to the Jaguars for a 3-year deal. Leonard Floyd, 2-year deal to the. I thought that was a big loss. Defensive end, outside linebacker, he goes to the San Francisco 49ers. Tre'Davious White, their corner, goes to the Rams. Linval Joseph signs a 1-year deal with the Cowboys. Jordan, I think, as you mentioned earlier, on Jordan Poyer goes to the Dolphins. Naheem Hines, running back, goes to the Browns. Who else? Jordan Phillips, defensive end, to the Giants. Yeah, not that much. I'm not gonna go through it. I think we're tired. And the only trades that they made was with and I thought the biggest trade we have to talk about, letting go of Stephon Diggs to the Texans in exchange for a second round pick. What's your thought on that, Varun?
Well, obviously, I mean, if you look at face value, Stephon Diggs is a premier receiver, so it's a loss. But if you look towards the end of the season this year with Joe Brady, they didn't really need him. Like, they were leaning into the run game. They're playing more efficient offense rather than just having a high volume wide receiver one.
Right.
So, and they found a lot of like team success that way. So I think that's what mainly incentivized them to move off of Diggs, because he is getting older. They didn't need him as much, and they can get good value for him. So I actually, long term, I like the move for them, but I do think it's gonna hurt them this year. But if you're looking in terms of like the next few seasons, the cap flexibility it provides, especially if Keon Coleman ends up being able to fill that role,
Right.
I like the move because getting younger is always a good option in the NFL.
I mean, it makes sense. And also they traded to the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears got Ryan Bates, and the Bills got a 5th round pick in the 2024 draft. But that's all. And coaching changes. There was a lot of turnover. Of course, the biggest one being Ken Dorsey being fired. He's apparently now taken the Cleveland Browns offensive coordinating position. They elevate Joe Brady to offensive coordinator, which I thought was very good. They also get the former linebacker coach Bobby Babich to be their defensive coordinator, and they named Al Holcomb as the team's new linebacker coach, and Marcus West joins in as the new defensive line coach. I mean, then they also had a couple of assistants try and put in, and recently on March 6th, they did not retain their senior offensive assistant Mike Shula. So that's something to know. And so with that, continuing on, the Bills had a draft, and Adant, we need you. We need to get ready to shame the Bills.
Yes, sir.
What they do in the first round, they traded back to back,
and they let Kansas City get Xavier Worthy, the fastest wide receiver in the history of the NFL Combine.
And why in God's name do you do that? Make sense.
Cam's reaction on draft night was the perfect display.
God.
He walked up and quit the stream. He just rage quit. Literal rage quit. I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
I just don't get it. And then you trade back with the Panthers, and assuming like Keon Coleman, they're able to get him in the second round. Then they is able to. Then the same time in the second round, they got Cole Bishop, the safety from Utah. I really
loved that dude.
No, I don't know if it was a bit of a reach because I had him like as a round 3 guy, but I mean, like if it works, it works. And then third round they got defensive interior Dwayne Carter from Duke.
He's been actually pretty good for them in the preseason. Cole Bishop.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then number 4 and fourth round they got Ray Davis, running back from Kentucky. Kentucky has this tradition of developing good running backs. Also Memphis. Then 5th round they had 3 5-round picks. First one was center Cedric Van Pran from Georgia. That's a good pickup. They got linebacker Edefuon Olufoshio from UW, Washington.
Oh, that was a great draft. I really wanted him. He was a really athletic linebacker, really fast, got sideline to sideline agility. It's a good replacement for who they lost in Matt Milano, I believe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Matt Milano being one of the losses. Thank you on it. Because the list of players that they let go was way too long. And I'm like, man, I'm not reading all of it. No. We have better things to do.
Yeah, they lost a lot of veterans.
Too many. And you know what? I'm gonna say this. Their window is already gone past.
Really? I think their window's just starting.
No. The reason being that the window for them to make it to at least a Super Bowl is not even going to be available because you have Patrick effing Mahomes to deal with. That's my case in point. Easily. And then 6th round, they got tackled Tylan Grable from University of Central Florida, and DeQuane Hardy, corner from Penn State. Okay, good back developments. And then their 7th round pick, they go guard Travis Clayton from the International Pathway Program. That's interesting. So, I mean, so far, I think it was like a B plus, but definitely not no. It's a B minus because they let go of Xavier Worthy. I will never understand that. They should deserve a lower grade, Anand. I honestly think they deserve a lower grade for that bullshit that they pulled off.
Like, even if they needed a receiver, like if you let Worthy go to another team, sure, it's bad, but it's not the end. But if you let him go to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, that's the one thing you cannot do.
I think, like, Anand, you want to know what the crazy thing is? When we were doing those mock drafts together, I wanted to make a bet on saying, like, what's the over and under for Josh Allen to Xavier Worthy? That combination, because Allen has a good arm, Worthy having that speed, dude, you're looking at like 10 touchdown bombs. And it's all ruined.
It's still going to be 10 touchdown bombs, but with a different team.
No, you know what Mahomes is going to do? He's going to throw it from the back. Some bullshit. God damn. This is what pisses me off. But yeah, I had the Bills winning the season, have a winning season, and 11-6 at best. I think they could easily go. They could go 12-5 or 11-6. And for them winning the AFC East, again, it's going to be a tiebreaker between them and the Jets.
Really?
Yeah.
I think they're the clear winner, to be honest.
Okay.
And I just in general, that's just for me with divisions. Unless like a team is like loaded, like the 49ers or like the Lions or those type of teams, I usually do pick like the best quarterback to win the division because that's usually how it does play out.
That is fair. And okay, the reason why I think I'll let you speak, Electric. I'll let you speak.
And then they'll go to playoffs, easily win a wild card game. They're not going to get top clinch either the first AFC 1 or AFC 2, but they're going to go to the divisional round. You know where I'm going to go with this, Anand. They're going to lose to the Chiefs. And guess what? It'll be because of a Xavier Worthy game-winning touchdown.
Sean McDermott's gone if that happens.
Yeah.
At least he should be.
And the misery of the Bills is going to continue, and we're all going to suffer to the Chiefs. And my Shandar play of the year, I'm going to go with Keon Coleman as a possible candidate for NFC Offensive Rookie of the Year. Candidate.
Okay. I like it. All right. So final expectations. Final season expectations. The division expectations. Varun, go ahead first.
Oh, like the overall AFC?
Yeah, overall
AFC East. Yeah. So I'll go with the Bills number 1. And then did you want records or just like the teams?
If you want, you can put the records.
I'll just throw records there. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go Bills. I'll say they're probably I'll say 11-6.
Okay.
And then number 2, I'll go with the Dolphins.
Really?
Whoa.
Yeah. Number 2, I'm going with the Dolphins. You have valid points why the Dolphins could fall off, But in the core, I think if Tua's healthy, Tyreek Hill is healthy, Jalen Waddle's healthy, I think at the very least they should be able to still beat up on the bad teams like they usually do. Regardless, I don't think they're gonna have like any true success, but I still think they're around maybe 10-win team. And then the Jets, I have at 9-8, third. I just don't trust their coaching staff, them to be healthy, or the Jets in general. And then fourth, I'll have the Patriots. I'll go like 6-11.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Lakshak?
Well, I think it was between the Jets and the Bills. At top 12-5, they could go. But when I did the schedule predictor, I had the Jets going 13-4.
Damn.
Oh.
Okay, you are high on the Jets.
Oh,
I mean, no, because earlier when I said like if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, if that coaching staff does not fool around, and that the Jets defense is they are consistently good.
Okay.
Those three conditions, 12-5 is the floor, 13-4 is the ceiling.
Well, you think 12-5 is the floor?
I think. I mean, technically, they'll have a winning record at best.
Gotcha.
But 13-4 can be their ceiling.
Gotcha.
And then I have the Bills going 11-6 or 12-5 at best, and going into Heartbreak City again as always.
Do they even make the playoffs?
I think they can make the playoffs.
Okay.
I think no, but then again, it's that tie because of my doubts with the Jets. The Bills, it's gonna be decided in that one game against Bills versus Jets.
Nice.
Winner of that will get the AFC East. And then I have the Dolphins going 9-8.
Okay.
Because it's gonna be another mid-year. I don't trust that weapons core still. And I had the Patriots going 5-12.
Yeah.
So both of you guys are in line with what you think the Patriots are going to do.
Yeah.
I say a little bit different. I think this entire division is going to be a pretty feisty division.
Okay.
The Patriots going 8-9 being the worst of the.
If we go 8-9, I'm throwing a party.
I know.
Yo, can I come over, man?
Yeah.
yeah. Anyone, bro. 8-9.
Dude, send me a ticket from Albany to Austin. I'll come and fly over.
Yeah, them, and then the Dolphins going 10-7, but missing out on the playoffs.
Ooh.
The Bills and the Jets tying for the division, with the Jets having a conference tiebreaker at 11-6. See,
Okay.
I'm pretty bullish on Aaron Rodgers maintaining his recovery and not being injured again. Now, obviously, if either one of those players becomes really, significantly injured and they miss a quarter or a half of the season, then the Jets are done. Right. I don't think they make the playoffs. But this is me assuming that everybody stays healthy for at least 80% of the entire season. See, if Mike Williams misses 2 games, I don't think it's going to matter as much as him missing 6 games. Right? Or if Tyron Smith misses a game or 2 here and there, that's fine. But because I think the Jets defense is capable of, pulling victories out of defeats just once in a while. But they're not capable of doing that week in, week out. It's not that type of a league anymore. So I think the Jets win the division, and I think they go to the AFC Championship game and lose to the Houston Texans.
Whoa!
The Texans go to the Super Bowl.
You think the Chiefs are going to lose? They're not going to make it?
That's my hot take for this year too. I don't think.
Let's go!
Whoa!
Let's go!
I just don't see a 3P. I just cannot see it.
It's so improbable. So many things have to fall in line for them.
Yeah.
And I think the AFC is just good enough where it might be the time for them to not have a 3P. But Varun, okay, what do you think in the playoffs is going to happen?
For the Chiefs?
Oh, for the entire AFC.
Oh, I gotta hear this.
AFC.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, you got to go for the division winners first, right? So,
yeah.
Here, let me look at the division so I can. Yeah, okay. So if you go, I have the Bills winning the division.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Chiefs winning the division.
Okay.
I have the Bengals winning the division.
Reasonable.
Mhm.
I have the Texans winning the division. So that's my 4 division winner teams.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then as far as playoff teams, I have the Ravens making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I have the ooh, this is tough. Okay, I have the Dolphins still making the playoffs.
Oh.
Okay.
And then my last playoff team is see I'm expecting the Jags to make the playoffs.
What?
Okay.
I'm expecting the Jags.
Okay. Hot take city here.
Wow.
You guys are high on the Jags?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
I'm
we're
not. I
low.
just don't think they've done enough in the offseason to be successful. Now, the preseason, they've actually looked pretty fantastic. All their starters look sharp, and it seems like their offense has turned around a corner, but I don't know if they pulled that off.
Okay, how about do you think it's more likely the Colts make the playoffs or the Jags?
Colts?
Oh, I think the
Okay,
Colts.
I'll go with the Colts then.
Colts.
That's honestly what I was thinking. Okay, so I'll go. That's the Colts. Those are my things, and
Okay.
I think the Colts are out round 1.
Yeah.
I think the Colts.
You
I
can
think the
say
Dolphins
like
are out.
divisional round winners and then Super Bowl and all that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think divisional round. I'll probably go with the. This is tough. I think the Bills will make the divisional round. I think the Bills will make it. I think the Bengals will make it.
Mhm.
I think the Chiefs will make it.
Yeah.
And I think who's my last division winner? And the Texans will make it.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Reasonable.
gonna be fun. That'll be
So
fun.
Ravens miss out in the playoffs again.
I
Damn,
don't trust
Lamar
Ravens.
Jackson already hitting it that low.
And then AFC Championship. Honestly, I'm really high on the Texans.
Same.
I'm really high on the
I
Texans.
think the Texans. I'm gonna say Texas versus Chiefs.
That's my AFC
Oh,
Championship.
the AFC Championship. Let's
Yeah.
go.
And then
I
the
think
Texans win.
I just think I just think I don't know why. Like I usually don't buy into like hype that much for these teams.
Yeah.
The Texans are I just think they have it.
Because I think they've proved it. They've proved
Yeah.
that they can be this
100%.
competent. That's why, for me, my Super Bowl is going to be the Packers and Texans. And the Packers win this year.
I'm pretty high on the Eagles, to be honest.
Wow.
You know
played
what?
Dark Sharks
No.
Day.
I'm gonna say this. I think it can be between the. I think it could be the Lions against the Texans for the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's a good one.
That would be
I think that'll be the. I think that'll be America's Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That would
Well,
be
every
great.
state except for the state of Wisconsin. Well, 3 states: Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois. All right. So that's going to be it for us today. Thank you so much, Varun, for coming on to the podcast and sharing us with your spicy hot takes. Increasing the spice level for NFL Masala as ever.
Beyond Mirchi level.
Yes. Yes. All right, Varun. Say your goodbyes. We'll see you next time.
Once again, thanks for having me, guys.
Mhm.
Had a lot of fun today.
Yes, sir. So if you guys have liked this, please leave us a review at one of the 4 podcast platforms that we host our podcasts on: Apple, Google, Spotify, and Pocket Casts, or send us an email at nflmasala@gmail.com, spelled as NFLMASALA @gmail.com, or Rakshak.
You can also find us on and yes, we do have a YouTube channel, NFL Masala. That is there. So please make sure you give us a like, subscribe, rate, subscribe, leave a comment, and also you can also reach out to us on our Twitter /X/ and Instagram at the same username and handle at NFL MASALA 2022, all lowercase. That is at NFL MASALA 2022. That is our Twitter /X handle. That is also our Instagram handle.
All righty. So now we're going to hit you guys with our signature outro. Go Pack Go.
And fly, Eagles fly. Take care and have a good night.